reasonable player. He knows his role. I thought he could have been that third scorer on some nights where you can't maybe rely on Kuzma or Caruso or Caldwell Pope or somebody like that. I thought Collison could maybe bring a stable scoring option.
Well, Collison would have been another ball handler, creator that they would have desperately needed. Somebody that can
and he could shoot.
That could run a competent pick and roll and shoot decently from 3-point land. This is a crushing blow. I am a little nervous, but we're gonna see how this thing plays out. We're gonna bring in some saviors like Isaiah Thomas and J.R. Smith and Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, I like John. Believe it or not, out of all those guys, I would go Tyler Johnson. I just don't trust J.R. Smith.
He had a terrible year, but he was playing for the Suns, so I mean, you gotta take that with a grain of salt.
You put J.R. Smith in a city with all those dispensaries, and I think you're asking for trouble. That's all I'm saying. Hey, I'm just gonna leave that at that.
If they're bringing him in, he'll be one of the last guys on the roster. So if he fucks up, he'll be out of there.
Well, like we said, Pell's got the Blazers and the Thunder this week.
I think they should bring in JR because A, he's a shooter, and B, the GIFs would just be amazing.
Maybe so.
LeBron just fucking looking at JR with disgust. I mean,
I'm sure it would be. It would be intriguing. I would enjoy it as a non-Lakers fan. But the Pels, 2 games that they have to win, in my opinion, going into the All-Star break. 2 tough teams, Blazers, Thunder. They got to take care of business. They got to come out of the gate after the All-Star break against an easier schedule and take advantage of it. But real quick,
let me ask you this: something I've noticed. It seems like guys will step up when somebody else is out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been able to put it all together when everybody's healthy yet?
I think that's still a thing.
Is the chemistry going to be there? It seems like when Ingram's playing good and Zion's playing good, Drew will be like in the background and not having a decent game. With Ingram and Zion out of the lineup, Drew explodes.
I think they're close.
Lineup, does Drew go back to being a guy that's just a passive guy and not really contributing?
I think Drew's got to just get back to. I want to see the pace thing. We talked about that last night on the over the phone deal. I want to see Drew shooting less 3-point shots. I think I don't like the whole trying to copycat the Warriors playing style. I understand Gentry loves pace. I understand he was an assistant coach when they won the title, a few years back. But you don't have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant shooting the ball. Mm-hmm. I think the Pelicans do have really good shooters. But I think you have guys like Ingram, Zion, Drew Holiday that can take advantage of one-on-one matchups and destroy the competition. Zion is a handful down low. Everybody's already seeing it firsthand. He's averaging over 20 points a game his first 8 games in the NBA without a real training camp. Brandon Ingram's an all-star, averaging 25 points a game roughly. Drew can have those. I mean, to me, Drew is so effective. He's so strong. He can finish with both hands. I want to see Drew putting the ball on the floor. I don't want to see Drew settling for 8 or 10 threes a night. Mm-hmm. As long as Drew plays within himself, avoids that 3 a little bit, shoot it if you open, but don't force it. I see a lot of those forced threes, and to me, when they stop moving the ball around, when they start forcing up threes, that's when the Pelicans are at their worst. If they can avoid that, go into the isolation matchups at times with those guys when they have the favorable, defensive switches, move the basketball, play the pace game somewhat. But I think it's a matter of taking smart shots, not turning the ball over, and this team can be really good. I think the defense is actually starting to come around a little bit. Mm-hmm. They still got to get better against a 3-point shot. But they got to win these 2 games this week, to me. And I think they're going in the right direction. They're heading in the right path. But I know a lot of people, man. I know we got to get to this because this is a big thing. Real quick, let me get the Rivers thing out the way. Didn't we know about this Rivers thing like weeks ago? Well, and why is everybody coming out today? Because it's official?
Rivers has been in decline for at least a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, they've never really won on a big scale with Rivers, so it's not like they had – like you say, sometimes when a guy's won a championship for a team, he gets like that extra year or 2 with the team. But a guy that's been, really good but has never won anything in this day and age with all of the incoming rookies, quarterbacks out there, a lot of options. You're not going to get that same, you don't
get that cushion, I guess.
Hall pass. Yeah. So it was time.
He looks slow the last 2 years too. His wind-up looks slow. He just looks like the game's gotten too fast for him.
I hear the Bucks, but if I was going to bring him into the Bucks, I would just keep James Winston, who, by the way, has terrible eyesight. Finally went and got the corrective eye laser surgery.
Did he really?
Yeah. He was on Insta with the Terminator glasses. Said, "I can see now, bitch." And then they had.
What if this is like the Rick Vaughn of football? Like, what if he's like?
Well, they had a bunch of accompanying pictures of James Winston on the field squinting. I don't know why he never wore contacts, but it just
maybe he just got by on ability, like his arm talent. I mean, he's you know what I'm saying? Maybe he's.
I mean, some people they got sensitive eyes and they don't want to put contacts.
Maybe so. Some people he probably says, "Hey, shit, if I can make millions of dollars and not have eye surgery, let's not do it."
So instead, they're gonna put a laser in there.
Well, hey man, what if this dude? I mean, what if he becomes a Rick Vaughn of the NFL, and this dude becomes a wild thing, and just like he's a beast? I mean, look, Jameis Winston to me is the modern day. No, that's what I'm saying. Yards. He's the modern day Aaron Brooks to me. He makes some bad decisions, and his accuracy sometimes falls out of suit in clutch moments. But he's got a tremendous arm. I mean, he's talented.
But I mean, can't some of that be attributed to having the worst left tackle? I mean, I watched some video the other day.
Yeah.
And what is it? Their left tackle was just olaying people left and right. And it was just a really bad situation. So that team, if I was them, I'd draft early and often on the offensive line. Maybe pick up some players on that side of the ball. And concentrate on protecting James Winston, and they could score with anybody.
Oh, I mean, their receivers. Like I said that before. I mean, I said that back on the Who Dat Pod. And had a little flack from it early on. I mean, that's the best duo of receivers in football. I mean, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And they proved it this year statistically.
And Brashard Perriman, I mean, that's a great threesome. I mean, Perriman, was kicking out 100-yard games every week once those guys got hurt. And he's looking like one of the big receivers that people are going to be clamoring for this offseason.
If I'm Tampa, I wouldn't pay to keep him.
Parker.
I wouldn't pay. Parker to me, I think was just in a bad. I mean, Miami's terrible. I mean, Adam Gase to me, I have no respect for Adam Gase. That's why I think the Jets are going nowhere fast. But no, I mean, Perriman had his little breakout. But I mean, to me, Godwin and Evans are so gifted. If they could find a way, I know it's his offense, and Bruce Arians doesn't involve the tight ends a ton, but you better find a way to involve O.J. Howard. He's too good not to be involved. Yeah. So, to me, if they get that done,
still got others.
Ronald Jones looked passable this year. I think if they get the offensive line in better shape, I think who's to say you can't go with Ronald Jones and maybe a mid-round bigger back to make a change up?
I think they're going to draft somebody.
They will at some point, but they have so many needs early. They can't use a top 2-round pick. They have to really get that secondary going, which is terrible, and they got to get that offensive line before they do anything. That secondary is atrocious.
Honestly,
they can't cover anybody.
In the third or fourth round, whoever slips. Whoever has a little slippage, get that guy.
But you don't see Rivers. You don't see Rivers in Tampa.
No. If Rivers wants to continue playing, he may have to come in as a backup. He may have to go.
That's the crazy thing
with a shaky quarterback situation and hope that he could either beat the guy in training camp or somebody ahead of him gets hurt.
Do you think somebody like Washington takes a flyer on him and puts him against oh boy Haskins and in a competition maybe? I mean, that's one of the teams me I look at that could happen.
Washington doesn't pull a Arizona situation and just go for Tua at the second pick.
That's I want to say they're going to go young, but you never know. Right? I mean, you never know. Doesn't Young make a lot of sense for them right there?
But medicals come back. I mean, he looks like a generational type prospect.
But then, would you feel safe with Tua? I mean, look, I love Darius Geis, and I hope he gets it figured out from a health standpoint. But would you be a little worried having Tua coming off that hip injury with Geis in the backfield?
That goes to Washington because obviously they have like one of the worst training staffs in the league, and people.
That's what I'm saying. That's bad in itself. Yeah,
over and over again.
Yeah, Jordan Reed. And, I mean, it was concussions, but
Trent Williams pretty much told. John Q. Public that they have one of the worst training facilities.
Snyder's fucked that whole organization up
because they don't treat their guys right, and they play them injured. They taking the Toradol by the boat full.
Yeah.
Just to get the people on the field so they can have a 6-10 record.
Yes, that's what happens when you have bad. To me, it's all about bad management. Snyder has ruined that franchise. That was one of the best franchises growing up as a kid. That was a storied franchise with Art Monk, Ricky Sanders, Gary Clark, Charles Mann, Dexter Manley, Darrell Green, a few years later. But that was, with Joe Gibbs as a head coach, that was a storied franchise. Even before that, going back to John Riggins' days. I mean, offensive line. That's what I'm saying. They always had that great offensive line.
Offensive line.
Exactly. His favorite thing to look at, is Hogs. Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, check out the Hogs on those guys.
But let me ask you this, man. All right, so I'm not really – the Rivers thing to me is not that big of a story. I think, like you said, he's competing for a job next year or Tampa decides to move on from Winston. I don't see too many – maybe Carolina, if they trade Cam, there's a lot of people talking about Cam could end up with the Raiders, which would be intriguing. That's kind of like the little hot stove right now.
Yeah, I feel like they're on the verge of giving up on
Derek Carr.
I mean, they've tried. And they're giving him a lot of rope, but it just hasn't happened.
Yeah,
he's another guy that's going to get thrown into like maybe a backup situation.
I was 50-50 with him in that last year. You don't have anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't do shit last year. He had an opportunity with a good running back and a better offensive line. He did nothing with it.
To throw the ball to.
He didn't. But Darren Waller became a star. I mean, but no, I agree. The receivers with the Antonio Brown thing were a little soft. Tyrell Williams really didn't break through like we thought he could.
He's more of a field stretcher. I don't think you can count on him as your ace.
Nah.
But it seems like they're going to move on. I know Gruden has a short leash for quarterbacks. And if he's not seeing it, if he's not seeing what he's looking for in a quarterback, he's going to move on.
Cam Newton might be interested in play for them. I mean, why not take a flyer? They have all those draft picks. They got a ton of cap space. And another team
probably won't take much to acquire.
One more team that just kind of popped up, light bulb just fucking went on. What about the Colts with Phillip Rivers? I mean, they're not completely sold on Brissett. That's a good team that has cap space that was, 2 years removed from the playoffs now. That was a team that was a legit championship contender, in my opinion, in the AFC going into this season before Luck retired.
What if the Dolphins draft Tua? They know he's going to redshirt
Rivers,
Rivers, and
Fitzmagic, battle.
Fitzmagic plays in such a way where he's probably going to miss a game or two,
yeah.
or he's going to have a 5-interception game, and you're going to have to pull the rug on
That's
him.
That's another possibility too. There's going to be a few teams, like you said. I don't see anything to me with Rivers. I'm not touching him longer than 2 years. I'm signing him to a 1 or 2 year deal. At this age,
for anybody right
no.
now.
But here we go. Let's get on to this. The big story, here locally, last few days in the football side of things has been Alvin Kamara. People are anticipating a holdout. We did an article today. We talked about some running backs. He's going to be in that age frame. He's going to be 25 this summer. We talk about guys between the ages of 23 and 26 that have gotten those extensions the past few years. Todd Gurley, Devontae Freeman, David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott. I love the Elliott thing. But for the other guys, it hasn't worked out so well. Todd Gurley made perfect sense at the time. David Johnson made perfect sense at the time. Freeman was maybe a little more sketchy, and he's not making as much. But how do you approach this if you're the Saints? He is a free agent at the end of this season. You have other things to worry about with Breeze. Lattimore, I believe, deserves an extension right away. What do you do? Ramczyk. And the good thing about Ramczyk is you have the 5th-year option with him being a first-round pick. So that's huge. Lattimore doesn't have that on his contract, unfortunately. But
in my personal opinion, I would leverage the season he just had into a below-market deal for him. Because if he's gonna want that Le'Veon David Johnson, you can point to those contracts and say, look, it's just bad. It's bad cap management.
Yeah.
And guys, it's honestly it's the worst position in the league as far as getting injured. I mean, they're the guys taking the hits on every time they carry the ball. They're the ones blocking, taking crucial hits from linebackers to block for their quarterbacks. I mean, it's a rough position. I mean, if anybody could get that kind of money. It would be a pass-catching running back, a guy that can make stuff happen.
Christian McCaffrey kind of guy, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but you have to look at some of these contracts that guys have got.
I mean, Kamara catches the ball, but he's got to. To me, I don't think he's in the same. I love Kamara. I think he's a phenomenal back, but he's not quite Christian McCaffrey and Barkley as a runner. As far as between the tackles, he's not quite there.
I would leverage his season last year and try to get a little bit below market deal. Sign him long term, give him 3 or 4 years, 3 years with a team option, which gives the Saints a little wiggle room just in case he gets hurt worse. Maybe in that Devontae Freeman range, $8 million instead of the $12-14 million.
Yeah, I think you got to solve Drew Brees first, though.
The Saints are probably going to have to bring in another running back. A guy that I like for the team would be like a Jonathan Taylor, a guy that can carry the rock and, form that thunder and lightning.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Akins, that other cat, from
Akins,
Florida State, I believe.
One of the strongest running backs in the league, can bench 600 pounds, had the worst line, in college football, and still, average almost 5 yards to carry.
That's the kind of guy
hit, who created, I think, 800 yards.
And you put him behind a Saints offensive line that's been one of the best in the league the last 3 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
all you have to do is watch his tape. The guy can play. he doesn't have the numbers of some of the other guys.
And that's
he was in a much worse situation.
That's the kind of guy I want. That's the kind of guy I want because I love Taylor, but I got a feeling Taylor's going to move up that draft board pretty high, like with DeAndre Swift.
The thing about Akers is he can catch the ball.
Yeah, I want to run it back in the third round. The first round,
30 receptions last year.
The first round right now with the Saints, I'm starting to get off my Jordan Love thing. I think Breeze is going to play. I think Hill is going to be obviously number 2 quarterback. You'll find